The following voices are AI generated. We hope you enjoy the video.
All right, this is our first review without the hedgehogs, and this one's interesting. We're taking a look at this Zoey 101. I don't remember watching it, but I heard it was popular.
Oh, a teen sitcom? I haven't seen one in over 10 years. This isn't no ordinary sitcom. It's more of a drama comedy show that thankfully doesn't have a laugh track.
It looks interesting. It's about a girl going to a boarding school in Southern California. We have so much to analyze, such as the story of the show and the behind-the-scenes drama, gossip, and controversies.
Yes, and Zoey herself is played by Jamie Lynn Spears, the younger sister of motherfucking Britney Spears. A spoiled human going to a boarding school that's actually paradise in my eyes from the mid-2000s.
Seriously, Britney's sister was in this show, and at a boarding school? Sounds like a prison. No freedom, only rules. I'm a fan of Britney's music, but her little sister deserved a different show.
I'm not much of a fan of teen drama shows because I thought that they sounded like snooze fests back then. And I used to say, where's the action? But this one is unique, as it was a unique show compared to most live-action Nickelodeon shows, a drama and a comedy show. To me, Zoey 101 is an okay show if you ignore the behind-the-scenes gossip and controversies.
I thought the show felt fun. Friendships, adventures, and a roller coaster of emotions. Sure, some of the episodes and moments haven't aged well, but there are plenty of memorable moments regardless of what you think of Zoey 101.
Let's talk about the characters. About this Zoey. Amy told me she was a Mary Sue. If that's true, she needed a weakness or something to flesh her out.
There's the male characters Chase, Logan, and Michael, and they all stand out and make a great trio. But I like Michael in particular since he's smart, funny, and a loyal friend. Chase is the guy who loves Zoey but hides his feelings, and Logan is arrogant and rich.
Logan? He's a typical rich kid, all right. If I were in the show, I could teach him a thing or two about style. Good thing by the fourth and final season, he was becoming less of a douchebag and more of a real friend despite the many shenanigans.
And what about the other characters? Aren't they supposed to be an entire entourage or something?
There's Zoey's different roommates. In the first season, there's Nicole and Dana. Dana left in the second season due to her actress leaving the show and was replaced by Lola, played by Victoria Justice.
Even Nicole left the show after the second season due to her actress, Alexa Nicholas, being constantly bullied by her co-stars, and the producers weren't doing a damn thing to fix their issues. By the third season, the token nerd Quinn, who was a supporting character in the previous seasons, became a main character and moved into Zoey and Lola's dorm room.
Wow, Zoey had different roommates. That's like Vector abandoning his team of the Chaotix. Plus, why is the show called Zoey 101 anyway? Is she a robot?
Of course not, you idiot. 101 is the number of the girls' dorm room, and early on in the series, Zoey kept on losing or forgetting where she had her key, and since then, she wore it as a necklace. And it's a symbol of the show. Honestly, that key makes a great gem in my collection.
The boarding school is called Pacific Coast Academy, and it used to be an all-boys school. By the time Zoey joined, it was the first time the school allowed girls. There are other characters such as Zoey's younger brother, Dustin, James, who was Chase's replacement in the final season, Quinn's boyfriend and eventual ex, Mark Del Figolo, the school's head honcho, Dean Rivers, the girls' dorm advisor, Coco, and the girl with the lisp, Stacy.
There were a lot of characters, and even a few guest stars, such as Drake Bell playing himself instead of his character from Drake and Josh. There's also Paige, who's played by Miranda Cosgrove, a genius similar to Quinn, and even Jeanette McCurdy as Trisha, a bad girl who Dustin had a crush on.
Drake and Josh is a show I actually watched along with iCarly. Maybe next year we can review those two shows with the others. How long did Zoey 101 last anyway?
With 4 seasons, it lasted from 2005 to 2008. A respectful run, but it ended with a mystery behind the scenes. But some people thought it was good timing. Who knows?
Jamie Lynn Spears was unexpectedly pregnant after the final season wrapped up filming. People suspected the father was the show's creator and infamous foot freak, Dan Schneider. But that's up for debate. We'll talk more about the pregnancy later.
Good Lord! Wasn't Jamie Lynn still a teen? Now that's just gross if Dan really is the father. Let's get back to the show. How was the first season anyway?
The first season has Zoey show up in her first year at PCA, and the episodes involve initial disagreements with the roommates, discovering webcams, conquering bullies, ironically, pranks, winning a motorbike called a Jet X, working on a play, starting dates, spring parties, making backpacks, playing disc golf, school dances, and finally a day at the beach to wrap up the first season.
As that season progressed, the actress who played Dana had less lines of dialogue, and she barely spoke in the beach episode. It was mentioned in the next season that she was transferred to another boarding school in Paris. And speaking of the second season, the teenagers dealt with time capsules, school president elections, a haunted house, Dustin dating Trisha the bad girl, Chase and Michael doing live streams, Lola disguising as a boy, robot fights, which is something we all liked, Lola having a brief relationship with Chase, cheerleading auctions, and Quinn wanting to be with her pet alpaca.
Wait, when did Lola replace Dana? Did she beat her up when she moved to Paris or something? I think there's something missing.
I was about to get to that, Knuckles. Zoey and Nicole originally wanted their room for themselves, but it was a school requirement for 3 students to share a room, so they dealt with Lola. She was initially a freaky goth girl, but it turned out she was deliberately acting so Zoey and Nicole could leave the room for Lola since she wanted to be an actress. Another case of real-life irony.
Victoria Justice was the second youngest performer in the show, and this was her first big role on TV 4 years before she had her own show, Victorious. And we all know that show was a mess and only made 3 stars, but not Tori herself. We'll get to Victorious another time. As for the remainder of Season 2, there was one big special called Spring Breakup, where the teens go out and meet Logan's dad, who's a producer, and they end up in a gender war reality show. And it's the one where the audience, not the ones within the show, where Chase wanted to admit his feelings for Zoey, but no one doesn't know except for us and the boys.
What is the matter with that Chase? I know he's scared to admit he wants to be with that Zoey girl, but if he's not going to tell her, he might as well not tell anyone about it. Not even his own friends. I thought the rest of the Knuckles and I were dumb with love.
He was going to tell her through a text message from a fictional cell phone called a techmate that he loves her. But Zoey's phone was near a water fountain. Since Zoey wasn't there, she forgot the phone, and after it vibrated several times, it fell underwater and was destroyed. Everyone who saw that said it was the most memorable part of that special.
And that was Season 2. It was a roller coaster, and sadly the final straw for Nicole's actress as she quit the show after getting constantly bullied by the other actresses. It was so bad that not even Britney Spears and the executives at Nickelodeon could stop the harassment. We feel so bad for those who suffered behind the scenes.
Thankfully, karma came back to bite Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider's fat ass as the docuseries Quiet on Set exposed the dark side of the network. But it didn't fully entail Alexa Nicholas's experience at Zoey 101. It focused more on the 90s and the darker and sicker stories that could make even Eggman's skin crawl.
It's kinda like how WWE has changed its regime last year, and Nickelodeon changed theirs after that foot freak left in 2018, right?
Sort of. A lot of the executives are bound to still be around, but Nickelodeon still has a skeleton closet full of terrible secrets despite getting rid of the foot freak. The network may have had shows that humans grew up watching, but behind the scenes, it's much worse.
It's sad that Hollywood has blood in its hands, and not in a fun, action-packed way, but we better get back to reviewing the show. How's the 3rd season? Did they explain how Nicole left?
Yes, it turned out Nicole had a fictional disorder that made her obsessed with boys, because throughout the previous seasons, she was always going gaga over the boys. so she was transferred to an all-girls school.
Good thing you don't have that human stuff, Rouge. Otherwise, you would have been flirting with even more people than just me and Shadow.
I only flirted towards others because I wanted all the world's jewels, Knuckles. I'm not like that anymore because I've got it all. I stick with you and Shadow because we've known each other for so many years. Tails. Tell the audience what Season 3 episodes the teens had.
Season 3 is considered the best season and the definitive season, despite not having Dana nor Nicole. But this season had a whopping 23 episodes. They involved more relationship problems, more bullies, on screen at least, starting clubs, joining wrestling teams, balloons, radios, dance contests, which was a thing in 2007, grilling ribs, beauty pageants, and my favorite, the one that has Miranda Cosgrove as a genius.
Why do you like that episode? Is it because of the star of iCarly making a guest appearance?
It's because of Quinn giving up her love of science until PCA was under attack by an energy converter going wrong. Quinn and Miranda Cosgrove's character Paige had to team up and save the day. If I were in the episode, it would have ended sooner, but there would be no plot.
I thought Michael was your favorite character, but I keep forgetting that Quinn is more like you, since you're both the brains of the groups. Quinn's the smart one in Zoey 101, and you are the smart one in Sonic.
23 episodes can keep me busy, but I'd probably watch the important ones.
One episode was an unintentional glimpse on what happened 13 years later after it premiered. That episode was called Quarantine, because Quinn's germs were spread to the girls' dorm room, and the main characters had to stay. It may be funny back then, but now it's kind of a head-scratcher. Along with the poorly aged jokes and of course the feet jokes in all 4 seasons.
2 serious episodes are the ones that make this series a drama comedy and not just a comedy. One is about Chase's grandmother. Despite it being his birthday, he focused on schoolwork and he wanted to see his grandmother, but she sadly passed away. One of the very few times death was deliberately addressed in a serious matter on Nickelodeon. The other was the season finale called Goodbye Zoey, where Zoey's family offered her to transfer schools to London. Chase finds out and lets her go despite loving her. It was Chase's best moment that wasn't funny. Logan was being a jerk, but did the right thing to make Chase admit his feelings for Zoey and missing her. Because the season ended, the 4th and final season was bound to be big, but it didn't.
Really? The final season being a failure sounds like a typical Netflix thing since Nickelodeon shows fluctuate in their quality. At least that's what Silver and Blaze told me. It's a relief Zoey 101 didn't get canceled during the 2nd or 3rd season.
Yes! And the final season has Chase going to London and trying to be with Zoey, but because she immediately moved back to America at PCA, Chase had to finish the semester in London and was gone from the show in the final season.
And while Chase was in London, Michael and Logan wanted to keep their dorm for themselves, similar to Zoey and Nicole in the 2nd season. But they got the new roommate James, who's played by Austin Butler, the same guy who ended up playing Elvis, the king of rock and roll, in the Elvis biographical film.
But audiences hated James as he was a bland, pretty boy. And worst of all, Zoey went on to date James instead of waiting for Chase. But they broke up on good terms on the last episode, Chasing Zoey, when Chase finally returned. And Zoey and Chase finally kissed for the first time.
So, that was the last episode of Zoey 101? That's not a bad way to end the show. Zoey and Chase finally got together and everyone lives happily ever after, right?
On screen? Yes. A few years ago, there's a sequel movie on Paramount Plus that's called Zoey 102, where Zoey and Chase broke up after the show originally ended, but that movie was mid. Off-screen, on the other hand, left some actors in scars.
The constant bullying and the pregnancy tainted the show's legacy. But if you ignore all of it, you got a cheesy dramedy show and it's worth checking out.
If you don't want to watch the show like I do, that's okay. We have our preferences. I think that should wrap up the video.
Good thinking, Knucklehead. We don't want to go any further with the dark side of Nickelodeon, as there are already a ton of channels discussing the grossness of Hollywood and it's teen and child exploitation and bullying. Go ahead and give this video a like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Blast that bell icon so you won't miss new videos. We got so many of them on the way. Check out the rest of our videos as well.
Since Shadow's not here, I better say spread the word. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Stick around and stay tuned for more new videos.
Ooh, let me say it. Peace out and rock on, man!
This has been Juan C.L. Productions. The end.
Fucking Schneider! This ain't a fucking game, bitch! I wanna watch a sitcom!